Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's October 27th, 2021, and I thought what I'd do is take a bit of a walk, and the walk that we'll take will start up here in the northeastern corner of the property. It's fall time now. It's been really overcast recently, but you could see there are some color changes. The last 36 hours we've had pretty much continuous light rain, which has really filled up the ponds beautifully. And so I thought what we do is take a walk around to some of the ponds. So this is pond 1. This is the pond that's on our highest part of the property. It's a kidney shaped one, so it goes around this big willow here in a sitting area. Hank, get up out of there. Come on, Hank. You're gonna get yourself stuck. You are stuck, you goofball. So, and everything's a little bit silted up right now because of the rain that we've been having, and everything's very muddy. And we've got some pretty decent winds right now. Hank's looking for frogs. Hank, leave the frogs alone, you goofball. So, this is part of the third food forest in this area here. There's big mud spots here where, 3 or 4 weeks ago I took down some large trees that were dying, and I removed those. And so in this area we've got a couple of plums, a few apples. Most of the apples have come off. There's still some apples on some of these trees. We have persimmons and peaches in this area, plums, apples, and these areas here are areas I'm going to be doing some more work on. Right over here, I'm still bringing up wood chips as I get a chance. So down in, there's all different plants growing up in these tree tubes, but this is one of the persimmons here. And these beds here are the beds for our garlic and shallots, and this is where we mowed we flail mowed these weren't mustard greens. This was a fall mix, so you can see there's still some daikon radishes starting to show up. You can see some over here as well. So this is an area, if things dry out in the next couple of weeks, I'll be up here and planting the garlic and shallots up here. So let's walk around over here. Like I said, everything's still muddy. Here amongst the walnut trees, and you can see these are all knocked down now because they finished flowering and the winds hit them up here, but these are all the sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes. It's the tuber that we eat. There's all gooseberries all along in there, and flowers. Here we have black currants and peaches. Oh, I forgot there's a couple more peaches over there. Peaches and plums, pecans. What else do we have in here? Looks like I have no, that's a butternut over there. These are our horseradish beds in here. These need to come out. That's where we're doing our composting now. The grapevines, I already pruned those all back. I have one more pruning to do before spring for those. This area here, we're entering the second food forest. So a whole variety of nut trees all throughout this forest. Now there are apples and peaches and plums in these areas, and pears. But mostly everything from chestnuts to pecans to butternuts to English walnuts to what else? I can't remember all the nuts. There aren't any almonds up in here. The almonds are in a separate food forest. Oh, these are all hazelnuts. We have 2 rows of hazelnuts down here on either side of that willow tree. And so each one of the swales that are up above on the upper part of the property that are next to the road, they all work their way down to feed all of these beds, and then work their way down here. And this one here connects actually 5 different swales, the one that I'm pointing at now. And there's 4 different ones that drain from the crown of our driveway, make it down here, and either feed into pond 2 right here, which is just a simple oval or circular pond. You see, you can see some of the color in the trees over there. Not perfect, but you can see lots of the leaves have already come off. Another peach here. Pecans, butternuts, several different apple varieties. Well, probably up in here I have probably about 30 different apple varieties. Peaches, plums, persimmons, and all. We'll walk by there in a second. These are all the inside of these cages, which haven't been kept up, are the service berries or June berries. So this is pond 2 here. And I could see some goldfish out there sunning at the top. You won't be able to see it on this camera. Some curly willows that we started from small little hardwood cuttings. And this overflows over a spillway right where Hank is standing right now, and it works its way down into our sediment or soil collecting canal down there. And we won't go that way right now. I thought we could continue over in this direction, but that's the hugelkultur bed, the grass area that you see up there that's raised up. So the hugelkultur bed is all buried wood where that flat area is, and that's a future permaculture gardens up there as well. So more pecans and apples, more apples. I only came out and harvested from a couple of trees about, I don't know, 5 bushels, 5.5 bushels of apples, and the rest, well, they bent a lot of those trees over there that are still in tree tubes. But you can see the wasps are enjoying them. The wildlife are eating the rest of the apples as well. Nice red bud right here. Another pecan. That's a sumac. A crimson maple here. One type of apple. Honey locust here, another apple. The dwarf ones, you know, I don't think I'll be growing more dwarf ones. Another pecan here, more apples. And so each one of these off the crown of the road, which I'm hopefully in the next couple of years I'll be resurfacing all our roads, because I've been making them muddy over the last few years doing the work that I'm doing. So there's swales in here that end up being vernal pools as well, so they fill up over the winter months and in the spring, but dry out in the heat of the summer. So all of these swales that are these deep swales that we've got around here, they're all also vernal pools. So here's a male persimmons here. There's a female persimmons there. I'll walk over so you can see. I did do a harvest after we had a hard frost last year. And again, I didn't support this one here, and you can see it's been a whole year since I failed to support it. So you see all the new shoots are shooting straight up. I've got to fix that. Here's our persimmons tree here, and you can see some of the fruit is starting to get ripe. And then I have all these seedlings that I've got to dig up and transplant. Now the deer have been over here. These were all leafed out the other day, but there was a herd of deer in here last night and the night before. Great big herd. I don't know how many, but quite a few of them. And let me see, can we see any of the persimmons up close? It's hard when they haven't turned, and the deer eat them all along the way. So here's a couple of persimmons right here. That one's firm. And this one's starting to get soft. Oh, somebody's already started eating. Actually, this one is actually ripe right now. Usually, it's later than this, so they'll start dropping. These are absolutely delicious. I love persimmons. Great persimmons bread. Hank? Oh, sorry, Hank. I don't know if he likes persimmons. Probably not. He loves all of our garden varieties pretty much. So I've been taking a lot of the, the wood chips and bringing those. I've taken about 2/3 of the pile, maybe a little bit more than 2/3 of the pile, and I'm taking them down and back to work on the nursery area. So this week I've been excuse me, this week I've been working on I'm sorry about that. This week I've been working down there in the nursery, and if we get a chance, we'll walk over there as well. So this is another area where the water can come down off of the driveway, work its way around, and of course the water picks up sediment as it moves along. And this is another, this is in a sense, this upper part here is a vernal pool, so this will dry up during the summer months, but the rest of it doesn't dry up. So and it is a sediment canal system. So the swales ultimately work their ways to the canals, and this canal is only partially lined, so there's a block wall, retaining wall holding that earth back on the other side over there, and this is sculpted so that it gradually gets deeper as we go further down to the canal systems down below. So there's a small 4-inch drain pipe there that connects one of the swales up there, so when it starts to get overflowed, and right here is where pond 2 works its way down between the lions here and deposits into this canal. So we want to, all of our non-point sources of pollution, such as our composting, extracts, the liquids that aren't staying in the compost pile themselves, they make their way down into this pool. So this is very rich biodiversity in these pools. The moisture also works down through each one of the hugelkultur systems. Now, since it's fall time, it's hard to see just how much vegetation is. Now you see we're a few feet deep here, so a lot of the grass species that grow along marshes aren't going to grow as we get deeper along this sediment collecting system. And I just had to replace some of the rocks along in this wall here from other locations. And so here we are, the house is over here, and the dog run here, and this is the most eastern garden section where the raspberry plants are, and a lot of the perennial hardwood cuttings are right in there. The area that I'm standing in now is a little bit of a low spot, so anything that gets too much water in here, it has one path to work its way down into this sediment collecting canal system. And we get to about 5 feet deep down there where Hank is before the sediment has a chance to fall and go to the base of these areas. That way, after a few years, I can come in with the excavator and scoop out the beautiful soil that's collecting in the base of these systems and use that for gardens or food forests. So it's really nice to have something that's really easy, a canal system that's along an access road that's part of a bioremediation system. It's the first phase of a bioremediation system, but the soil that collects in the base of these is very, very nutrient dense. Then the water, after it's filtered somewhat coming through here, it then overflows where Hank is mucking up the water here, and it goes into our canal systems down here. And so this is part of the bioremediation canal system here. So you want lots of biodiversity, lots and lots of different native species of plants growing all alongside. So down below is a 3-foot deep canal that stays open. Some sediment gets in there and I have to clean it out every 5 or 6 years. But this is one of the places where the water works its way down, works it through the vegetation, and fills the canal system. This canal system feeds back to pond 3 right over there, and we'll go there in just a moment. And I think what we'll do is we'll actually just walk around this way. Hanky? So this is part of one of the forest areas that I've been working on, trying to take out a lot of the dead ash trees. These are some of the black currants, the larger ones. Of course, there's goldenrod intermixed here. I'll get up here on the bridge and you can see the canal system going around this way and going this way over, and of course there's a lot of reflection there from the sun. Not used to seeing too much sun lately. This last month has been pretty dark and cloudy. We're in an area that has pretty good tree coverage and building coverage, so we aren't feeling the winds over here. But this is pond 3, and there's small little sections that we carve that aren't truly swales, but they're like swales in a sense. They're just collecting from, it's like a hand. There's 5 fingers that reach out here that are rather shallow. You can mow over the area, but the water collects and comes down into this one area here, and I have to clean this area out. The boulders help to retain the soil here because the soil does build up. Every couple of years we'll get 3 to 4 inches of soil right in here. And I'll scoop some of that out. This is really easy for the turtles when we have nice gentle slopes. So a lot of the reptiles love being in the stone feature, and on the other side the turtles can get out easily. The frogs stay all around the margins in here, and the fish do as well. So pond 3 here has an island in the center, and the wildlife absolutely love having the island there. I like actually having some of the trees partially submerged so the turtles can get on them. There are a couple of small trees that are submerged out there right now, so as the water recedes, the turtles can get up on those areas. This is another area where there's 3 fingers that come down. They coalesce right over here, there, and there, and small slope going into this small pool area that dumps into pond 3. So it's real nice. We like coming out here. I didn't get out here this year, but we have several sitting places, and maybe with Thea retiring this year, we'll spend some more time actually coming out and sitting. I have a lot of work to do over in here by the sugar shack. I have my trash pile, which is all metal that I'm going to have to recycle all of the metal there, but I still come out and scavenge some metal as I'm doing different projects. So having the different barriers around and borders around the ponds makes it much nicer for nesting birds as well. And of course, we've been through this area many times. This is the first food forest here. I'll be doing some work here, taking out some of my native blueberry bushes out of here and putting them along the access road that I built last year, one of the access roads that I built last year. A couple of pawpaws here, aronia berries, some apples, some pears, several more apples and pears here. And of course, we've been over these guys many times. So this is one of the gazebos by pond 3, so we can come out here, sit peacefully. They're screened in gazebos. We really don't have much of an issue with mosquitoes the way that things are designed here, but we do have issues with deer flies at certain times of the year. But early in the spring, we call black flies punkies. They can really be upset your day. So it's nice having screened in areas if you want to take a break. And this is pond 4. Again, this pond has margins around the outside. This is part of the bioremediation system. This was the first pond that we put in on the property, and then I rebuilt it 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and built the lower block wall and this upper block wall all the way around this pond. And there are perches out there for the turtles and the snakes to get on. But as you can see, there's lily pads even right out in the center of this. They haven't all disappeared yet. So the sediment has gradually filled up in here. And so that's one of the things I've learned over the years is when you're designing ponds, you want to have a way of capturing as much sediment as you can before it gets to a pond that you don't have a piece of equipment that you can reach out to. Maybe next year I'll be doing some modifications to this pond, making an access ramp in here so it's easier for the turtles to get out. We have a small sitting area over there. That's where we put one of the red maples, Japanese red maples a few years ago, and there's videos about that. But let's go over. There's the water so each pond is connected from 1 to indirectly to 2. 2 is directly connected to the sediment canal. The sediment canal feeds into the bioremediation canals. The bioremediation canal feeds into 3, and then the bioremediation canal fits into more of the bioremediation system over here, where Hank is looking right now. And this is where during the wintertime the minks are down in here. So it feeds under the driveway here into this part of the bioremediation canal, and then the water feeds into pond 4 right over here. If it wasn't so windy, and it seems to have calmed down a little bit, I would have tried getting out the drone. You all know Hound, the Komatsu CK35-1. Someone's coming in about an hour to pick up Hound, so Hound is going to be leaving us. Unfortunately, Hound has really done fantastic work, a real heavy-duty workhorse. I'm going to miss Hound an awful lot. We had him just over a year, and so that can be a challenge, losing a beautiful piece of equipment like that. But we do have the Hulk here, and I'll do a video on the Hulk. Actually, I'm going to show something right now. Arc Sparks asked a question about the hydraulic control diverter in Elon. So this is the Takeuchi's TB290, and so the place that we go ahead and we switch from SAE to ISO with the hydraulics, it's right here. So I have it in SAE, or sometimes referred to as backhoe mode. In this position, you loosen up this screw here, this bolt here actually, because it is a bolt with the wing nut welded onto it. And I switch it over to here, and then it goes to ISO. And I think that's International Standards Organization, and the other one I think is Standard American Equipment. I can't remember, but that's, most people refer to that as backhoe mode. So there is the other gazebo that's by pond 5, and we'll take a walk around where I've been working over here. So here's the western garden plot with the blueberries, honeyberries, and lots going on in there. It's calming down now though. But the day before yesterday, when we were only getting small amounts of rain, I was working out here, getting the fig trees off during last week out of here. And so this is where the whole nursery area was. And it will be again, but I had to get all the plants out of there. The fig trees went inside over here. I actually open up the door and show you the fig trees real quick. But as the water moves down and it doesn't get diverted to the sediment connecting canal, as water works across where this side of the property is, it can work down to a swale a very gentle, natural looking swale that's right up next to this fence here, works its way down and comes down here and works its way around the coop and all. And you may be able to see right over there the fig trees. Now we'll walk over there. It's just so darn muddy right now. So this is where I've been going over with the equipment and making things a bit muddy here. But those large fig trees that we keep outside, I went ahead and put wood chips on them for now. I removed the support posts. All these trees are ones I planted last fall, transplanted last fall. So you can see there's some of the figs right here, still off to the side. So I will cut off the tops of these, and in the spring I'll come over and bring those back upright, and we'll see how that works. And of course there's elderberries in here, walnuts, a couple of different walnuts here, an oak tree right here, a honey locust, a maple tree right here, another oak tree, another honey locust, and a black locust, and a honey locust, elderberries all in here. And so I got to put some cardboard down in here, and all along in here, these are all, I've got a lot of them covered up right now, but they'll survive the winter. These are, what are they? There's curly willows all in here. Here's better examples of the curly willows. A bunch of them right here. Real hardy plants. Those are the curly willow trees that we have all around the pond. So in the spring I'll be selling some of those. And then I already pulled out all of the 1 year elderberry plants that were in here and build it up with some more wood chips. Had to do some pruning, so we're getting close to the western edge of the property. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about the interruption. So these are the second year growth of elderberry plants. Got to get my mind straight here. This season's growth of black locust plants. These are the all of the thornless blackberry plants, and a few maples, and a cherry or two, and a few crab apples in this area. The grasses that we propagated this spring, they're all doing well over there. There are raspberries on the other side. Hank's losing his mind because the turkey vultures are flying overhead, and he's a real bird dog. Oh Lord. And then over here we have the unidentified currant bushes in this location, followed by, what do we have here? These are all red currants in this area here, gooseberries, blueberry bushes, more blueberry bushes, more gooseberries here, and these hosta berries right there. I'm sorry, 3 black currants right there, then hosta berries, some burning bushes, and pink currants. These are all pink currants right in here. I have a couple of the air pruning beds over there, and I've got some of the curly willows that I started from cuttings this season, and I put them in some soil in a shallow water bath here. And so I've got to get these guys separated out to take care of those. Some survived and some didn't. And I thought I'd go over here real quick. So that swale that I started talking about, sorry I'm breaking up here so much, that comes down from the western side of the driveway. It works its way down around this swale, goes around the coop here, and then goes into pond 5. And we'll follow that up in just a moment. Maybe next year I'll be able to spend some time and maybe get the Solex on the roof out here. And a couple of citrus trees here, all of the, what do we have here? We have the rosemary plants, have these are almonds right here, a pear plant, certainly figs, more pears and peaches here, pawpaws, more citrus, more almonds, and figs all around in here. So, and I've got do some more cleanup work in here as well. All right, Hank. There's Mr. Quackers there. You may be able to see him in the pond. There is an island for this pond. Hank! Don't bother Mr. Quackers. Rosa Sharon all along in here. Thornless blackberries here. Elderberries all along the outside there as well. We have some ornamental grasses along this pond as well. Hank! This curly willow here, they do so well when they're next to ponds and all, but this also gets some high winds. That's why I'm trying to get as much of a natural living fence barrier all along this side. But boy, I'll tell you, the winds just come out of that side there and they tilt these trees. So I got to do some more pruning on this, but this is maybe 5 years old. It's kind of amazing how rapidly these buggers grow. These were the sticks that I stuck in the ground. Another one of the ones. And 2 years ago, I made a video on trying to put the curly willows into as a living fence off over there on the other side of where the ash trees are, where we started off early. And I took this big stick that was right where that crotch is, right there where those 4 verticals are going up, and it was just cut off there, and all this came up and just stuck it in the ground with Bumblebee, the mini excavator, and it's taken right off. This curly willow here, what I'm doing now, this one I left sort of like a bush, like many people have them. I mean, these willows will bush right out. And what has happened is, as the winds hit this, there's motion that causes disruption of the bark, and there's decomposing of the trees themselves. So one big section broke off here early this spring or late winter. And so now I'm pruning them all to be single trunks coming up until we get at least 5 foot tall before I allow the branches to come off. But you can see in 2 years' time, that's doubled in almost doubled in height. From just taking one of these big limbs and sticking it in the ground. This is the almond forest over here. So pond 5, pond 4 is right over there. That's the one with all the lily pads with all the sediment in it. That feeds into pond 5, as well as from the western side of the property, it feeds into pond 5. Pond 5 then works its way down along the between the almond part of the first food forest and all the other plants within the first food forest. And there's a swale system here that goes down to pond 6. So over there is where the honey hut is. Here's some orange quince. We got persimmons and pawpaws that haven't lost their leaves over in here yet. A couple of peaches, the red buds still haven't lost their leaves. But you could see the water was running pretty darn well, because you see the grass is pretty much laying on their sides. Hank, what do you have? An orange quince. Okay, go ahead. Knock yourself out, you goofball. This late summer, early fall, I put my first cover crop in right behind the solar panels right here. And that's a mixture of the same cover crop that we already flail mowed for where the garlic and shallots are going up by the third food forest. So that is doing extremely well. Because I don't plan on planting in this bed next year, I let it all go to seed, and we'll see how things work out. So this is the swale that goes into pond 6. This was the pond that always leaks. It's all sand and gravel here. So water just leaks from here and feeds into this area here. This is the area where we're going to be, where the old hugelkultur mounds were, and where we used to grow our crops back here. Well, this is all gravel and really, really rocky. And you can see, although we have growth from the cover crop that I put in here, and I actually came through and I put winter rye in here as well. But as you could see in the last garden update, in the eastern garden plot, you'd see the winter rye where the potatoes were planted is higher than the winter rye right here. But that's okay. So the spillway over here is about 25 feet wide. I still got to dress this area up that I'm working on here because this is where all the dirt was placed after excavating out a lot more dirt and gravel from here. But by having it so wide, the wider your spillway is, and I talked about this briefly, sorry about the airplanes and the wind, the wider that your spillway is and the shallower that it is, the less disturbance of the soils underneath. So this works extremely well. As it becomes narrower, then the volume of water is forced to the high volume is forced to go through a narrower area, and therefore there can be more erosion as a result. So we're right now in an area which will be planted out, and I don't know where we'll put the fencing to try and keep the deer out of the blueberry bushes when we ultimately get them planted down in here. But the swale used to be over here, and I took eline. As soon as I got eline this year, I went ahead and dug out a little bit more here and filled in over in this location. So this is all gravel, coarse gravel right in here. And last fall is when I came back here and expanded pond 7. So we're coming up on pond 7 here. So I have to do a little more sculpting here because some of the water is working its way over here and going into pond 7 over here, where I really wanted to go right down here. I really wanted not to damage too many roots here. And so here we are at pond 7. Pond 7 used to end right here. And so bumblebee and hound, don't go jumping in there, that's real deep there. Helped me to dig out so much more of this. I still have to get in here because it slopes up here gradually. I want to make it deeper from right about here well over to there and then gradually slope it up. And this is the rock that was just under the surface of the ground right over here that I talked about, these big rocks here. So then pond 7 then goes into the maple forest over here. And I have this spillway here, nice and wide, pacifies the water motion, especially where I'm going to be driving through. Now it tapers back to pond 7, so when the water gets recedes, this area dries out completely and the water will drain back into pond 7. And then this swale works its way over and around and drains into the maple forest right over here. Maybe next year, if I get the chance, I'll work on this a bit more. I did work on it some this year because it started increasing, but you may not be able to see it, but there's a good flow of water going down into the maple forest. And what I'll direct is I'll direct some of the water to go in among some of the trees down